Have you ever stopped to think if the car you drive today really fits your budget, or just the payment? This is an uncomfortable but necessary question, because most people have never been taught to differentiate between a decision that seems feasible and a decision that is financially sound. And that's exactly where the trap lies that almost everyone falls into when buying a car. In practice, the scene is almost always the same. You walk into the dealership, look at the model, fall in love with the design, the status, the new car smell, and within minutes, the conversation revolves around one thing: how much is the monthly payment? If the payment fits within the month, then the decision seems made. But what almost no one realizes is that a payment that fits within the month doesn't mean by any means a smart decision for personal finances. On the contrary, often it is precisely this logic that pushes ordinary people into years of financial hardship, exorbitant interest rates, and silent regret. Have you ever been through this? Or do you know someone who bought a car thinking they were getting a good deal, but then realized their budget was never the same again? The problem isn't the car itself. The problem is ignoring the real impact this decision has on your wallet, your financial planning, and even your future dreams. When you only look at the monthly payment, you fail to see the whole picture: the down payment, the financing term, the interest, the depreciation, and how much this purchase consumes from your monthly income. And it is precisely at this point that a simple, direct, and powerful concept comes into play, widely used by those who understand financial education and conscious consumption decisions. A rule that exists precisely to protect you from the financial traps of car ownership. The most curious thing is that this rule can be calculated in a few seconds, without spreadsheets, without apps, and without complication. What you are about to discover may surprise you, because perhaps no one has ever shown you this clearly before. The truth is that the market takes advantage of the fact that most people don't do the math. It knows that when the focus is only on the monthly payment, it becomes much easier to push long-term financing, low down payments, and installments that seem harmless, but which, added up over time, drain a huge portion of your income. And while you think you're making progress, in practice you may be going in financial circles. Stick with me until the end, because understanding this logic completely changes how you view buying a car. It's not about driving a cheap car, nor about sacrificing comfort. It's about making conscious consumer decisions, protecting your money, and avoiding costly mistakes that last for years. There's a simple, quick, and objective rule that separates those who buy cars intelligently from those who fall into the installment trap. And that's exactly what we're going to start it breaking down now, step by step, in a way that anyone can apply in real life. And while we're talking about this, I want to invite you to truly reflect on your own experience, because this isn't a distant or theoretical subject. It touches the real lives of those who work hard, receive a salary every month, and try to make better choices. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below about what has resonated with you so far, whether you've ever bought a car solely based on the monthly payment, or if you know someone who has gone through exactly this. When you share your story, other people recognize themselves in it, and that's how this conversation gains momentum. If at any point you felt that this message speaks directly to your reality, liking the video is a simple way to say, "This helped me." This gesture seems small, but it allows this content to reach more people who are also about to make an important decision and can avoid a costly mistake. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with practical financial education, without fluff or unrealistic promises. And if you want to continue understanding how to make smarter consumer decisions, protect yourself from the financial pitfalls of car ownership, and better organize your personal finances, subscribing to the channel is like saying you want to walk this journey together. The idea here is to build a community of people who learn together, make fewer mistakes, and make more conscious choices with their own money. So stick around, participate, comment, connect, because all of that helps keep this space alive and relevant. And now that we understand where the trap is and why so many people fall into it, it's time to move a little further and get into simply and directly the rule that can completely change the way you look at buying a car. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject because understanding the 24-10 rule isn't just about learning a formula. It's about changing how you view important decisions in your financial life. This rule seems simple at first glance, but it carries a hidden truth that is almost never explained to those about to buy a car. And perhaps that's why so many people get into debt without realizing the real impact of this choice throughout their journey. The 24-10 rule acts as a reality filter. It exists to remove the decision from the realm of emotion and bring it into the realm of consciousness. The first number, 20, means that ideally you should put down at least 20% of the car's value as a down payment. This isn't a whim, nor a bank requirement. It's direct protection against the immediate depreciation of the vehicle. A car loses value the moment it leaves the dealership, and when you make a very low down payment, you start this journey already owing more than the asset is actually worth. This is a silent trap that hinders future decisions and creates dependence on long-term financing. The second, number 4, refers to the maximum financing term, up to 4 years. This highlights an important shift in mindset. The longer the term, the smaller the monthly payment, but the higher the total cost of the debt. What seems like short-term relief transforms into a constant burden for years. Long-term financing wasn't created to help the average consumer, but to make the purchase decision easier, hiding the real impact of interest and time. Limiting the term is a practical way to protect your financial freedom. The number 10 is perhaps the most overlooked point of all. Car payments should not exceed 10% of your monthly income. This includes financing, insurance, and any fixed costs related to the vehicle. When this rule is broken, the car starts competing with other areas of life: housing, food, leisure, investments, and even emotional well-being. The impact is not only financial, but also psychological. The constant feeling of being strapped for cash, of always being on the run, stems precisely from this imbalance. The most powerful aspect of this rule is that it doesn't depend on how much you earn. It doesn't matter if your income is high or low. The logic adapts to each person's reality, because the goal isn't to prevent you from owning a car, but to prevent a single consumer decision from jeopardizing your entire financial future. It's a tool created for the average consumer, for those who don't want to be trapped in long-term debt or make decisions blindly. When you understand the 4-20-10 rule, something changes internally. You begin to see behind the scenes of offers, perceive the hidden revelations behind the unmissable installments, and start making decisions with more clarity, awareness, and strategy. This transformation doesn't happen all at once, but it begins right here, when the right information meets the right moment in your life. Now that this logic is clear, it's worth pausing for a few seconds and reflecting on whether it resonates with your current reality. Comment below. Does this make sense to me? Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this is where many people think it will get complicated and end up being surprised. Calculating the 24-10 rule is much simpler than it seems, and understanding this is part of an important transformation in your financial mindset. There's no secret formula, no hidden spreadsheet, no miracle app. It's just basic reasoning, the kind you can do in a few seconds, even in your head. Let's imagine a common situation, very close to reality. Suppose your monthly income is 5,000 reais. The first thing you need to look at is not the value of the car, but the impact of this decision on your life. By rule of thumb, the monthly expense for the car should not exceed 10% of your income. 10% of 5,000 reais is 500 reais. This is your maximum monthly payment, already including financing, insurance, and fixed costs. This number alone completely changes the game because it cuts at the root the illusion of a payment that seems to fit. From this, you look at the time frame. The financing shouldn't exceed 4 years or 48 months. If you have a maximum installment of 500 reais per month for 48 months, we're talking about a total financing of approximately 24,000 reais. This number reveals a lot behind the scenes because it shows how much debt you can actually take on without compromising your financial journey. Now comes the first number of the rule, which many people ignore, the 20% down payment. If the financing covers approximately 24,000 reais, this means that this amount represents, at most, 80% of the car. Therefore, the total value of the vehicle would be around 30,000 reais, and the down payment should be something close to 6,000 reais. Do you see how everything fits together logically? No suffering, no advanced math, just clarity. And at this point, an important revelation occurs for many people. It's not that the dream car is impossible. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense for your current life situation. And recognizing this isn't failure, it's maturity. It's understanding that conscious decisions today prevent negative impacts tomorrow. The 4-20-10 rule doesn't exist to limit you, but to protect you from choices that seem harmless at first and become burdensome over time. When you do this quick calculation, you begin to see the hidden truth behind aggressive offers, long payment terms, and seductive installments. You get out of autopilot and take control. This changes how you negotiate, how you think, and how you position yourself in any consumer decision. It's a mindset shift that goes far beyond just the car. And when that equation doesn't balance, the resulting discomfort isn't a problem. It's a signal. A signal that perhaps it's time to adjust expectations, wait a little longer, or change strategy. This awareness is part of a lighter, smarter, and much more sustainable financial journey. And it's precisely from this clarity that other decisions begin to make more sense. If this has already started to open your eyes, comment below. I'm on this journey too. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding the most common mistake that causes people to ignore the 4-20-10 rule is almost like pulling back a curtain and seeing behind the scenes of decisions that seem normal, but carry a huge impact over time. This mistake rarely stems from a lack of intelligence. It stems from pressure, and this pressure comes from several sides at the same time. There's social pressure, which nobody likes to admit, but it weighs more than it seems. Silent comparisons with friends, family, and colleagues. The car becomes a symbol, a status symbol, an unconscious way of proving something to others, or even to oneself. In this scenario, the mindset changes. The decision ceases to be rational and becomes emotional. And when emotion takes over, the rules disappear. At the same time, there's the very well-rehearsed sales pitch. The focus is never on the total cost, nor on the impact on your financial journey. The focus is always on the installment. It fits in my budget. I can afford it. It's just a little extra. This approach isn't accidental. It exploits the weakness of those who haven't been taught to look at the big picture. The hidden truth is that when you agree to discuss only the installment, you relinquish control of the decision. And then, little by little, the 20-40-10 rule is pushed aside, as if it were an exaggeration, or something for those afraid to live. Another powerful factor is the fear of missing out, the feeling that the car is unique, that the price is now or never, that if you don't close the deal today, you'll regret it tomorrow. This manufactured urgency creates a mental fog. Decisions become faster, less conscious, and any rule that calls for calm seems to get in the way. But this haste has a cost, and it almost never appears at the time of purchase. It appears months later, when the invisible debt starts to tighten. And this is where many people get confused. The problem isn't the car. The problem is everything that comes with it and isn't visible at the time. Accumulated interest, constant depreciation, long-term commitments, reduced future choices. This invisible debt doesn't show up in the mirror. It doesn't make a sound, but it weighs heavily. It steals flexibility, hinders decisions, and generates a silent impact on quality of life. Ignoring the 4-20-10 rule isn't a sign of boldness. Often, it's simply a reflection of a system that encourages quick and unconscious decisions. When you understand this, something changes within you. Guilt gives way to clarity. You begin to realize that protecting your money isn't a lack of ambition, it's strategy. It's a mindset shift that redefines how you approach consumption, choices, and even success. This awareness doesn't arise to judge you, but to liberate you. It puts you back in control, showing you that the real risk isn't in saying no now, but in saying yes without seeing the real impact. And when you begin to see that, other pieces of this puzzle start to fall into place naturally. If this resonated with you in any way, comment, "This makes sense to me." Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this is where many people finally understand that the 4-20-10 rule has nothing to do with driving a cheap car or giving up comfort. It has to do with freedom. Freedom to choose, to breathe, to not live trapped by decisions that seem small at first, but that shape your entire financial journey over the years. When you look at it from this angle, everything changes. Following this rule is a change in mindset. It's realizing that the car is just a means, not an end. Those who ignore the 4-20-10 rule usually enter a silent cycle, paying high interest rates, stretching out financing, trading in a car while still owing on the previous one, and normalizing financial hardship as if it were part of adult life. But this normalization has a profound impact. It stifles bigger dreams, postpones investments, stifles opportunities, and creates a constant feeling of always being behind, never in control. There's a hidden truth in this process that almost no one talks about. When you commit a large portion of your income to a car, it's not just the money that goes away. Peace of mind, the ability to say no, and the freedom to change course if something unexpected happens also disappear. This invisible debt doesn't show up on your emotional statement, but it weighs on your daily decisions, and over time, it transforms into exhaustion, frustration, and regret. On the other hand, those who apply the 4-20-10 rule early on experience a silent transformation. It's not something that draws attention from others, but it makes all the difference internally. This person pays less interest, changes cars more strategically, builds savings, and maintains room in their budget for other goals. Their financial life becomes lighter, more predictable, and much more aligned with conscious choices. It's not about restriction, it's about intention. Ignoring this rule often seems daring in the short term, but it exacts a high price in the long run. Following it may seem conservative to some, but in practice it's a smart stance in a system that profits from impulsive decisions. It's about understanding the inner workings of consumption and choosing not to be just another number in a long-term financing arrangement. It's about taking control of your own financial life. When you learn this early, something powerful happens. Your decisions change. You start to see opportunities where before you only saw desires. You begin to separate wants from needs, emotions from strategy. This awareness accompanies you for the rest of your life, not only when buying a car, but in any important decision. It's a journey of financial maturity that is built step by step, choice by choice. And when that clarity sets in, it becomes impossible to go back to autopilot. Other questions begin to arise. Other priorities take center stage, and the way you handle money stops being reactive and becomes intentional. It is at this point that the 4-20-10 rule ceases to be just a rule and becomes a filter for smarter decisions. If this reflection resonates with your reality, comment below. This makes sense to me. If you've made it this far, it's because this conversation made sense on some level. So, if this content helped you see buying a car in a clearer, more conscious way, and more aligned with your reality, consider subscribing to the channel. The idea here is precisely to continue bringing this type of practical reflection, which helps you make better decisions every day, without complication and without empty rhetoric. If you'd like, leave a comment saying you stayed until the end. You can write something simple, like, "This message was for me," or "I'm with you until the end." I read these comments because they show that this exchange is worthwhile and help guide future content. And if at any point you felt that this conversation connected with your own journey, leave a like on the video. It's a silent way of saying that it had an impact on the other side. Now, there's a video over here that complements this topic very well and further explores the logic of conscious financial decisions. Click on it and continue reading.